Good morning, everyone. Welcome to UCLA's undergraduate open house, Discover Engineering for Civil and Environmental Engineering Department. My name is Jian Zhan, and I'm the vice chair for undergraduate study, and I'm also a faculty in structural earthquake engineering and the structural mechanics group. Today's agenda, Eric, next. Yeah, so today we first have a faculty panel and where you are going to hear from our department chair to give an overview of the department. And also several of the faculties will actually highlight their research activities in different areas. And we also have a faculty from other group, even though they are not presenting. They will be actually available for the questions in faculty panel as well as in the breakout session later. And follow in that, we will have the student panel. The current students, they will actually talk about their activities in the department, and they will be there to answer a lot of the questions you might have. And then after the student panel, we have alumni panel. We have some recent graduates. They work in different industry, some in academia, and they are going to actually also give you a brief introduction about what they have learned from our UCLA like a civil engineering department. And so after this, each of these are half an hour. After this, we are going to have a breakout session, and breakout sessions, I will automatically generate the breakout room and then assign you. So in each of the room, you are going to have the opportunities to talk to faculty, student, and alumni. And so to have all your questions answered. And so, yes, first of all, congratulations for your admission into UCLA. And it is actually extremely competitive year to gain the admission. And so therefore, I congratulate you for all the effort you have done in your high school. Yeah. Next. So we have the next shows all the faculties who are present today, and next. And we also have the student, they cover different group of the activities they do, and we have really active student groups. Next. And so these are the alumni panels. Some are recent graduates, and some are like far back to many years ago. Yeah. Okay. Next. And so next, I would like to present you our department chair, Professor E.T., and to give you an overview.
Thank you, Jen. First of all, as you saw, Professor Jian Zhan called me E.T. That's how I'm referred to at UCLA. Those are my initials. I have a hard to pronounce name. And if and when you come and attend UCLA, you're welcome to call me E.T. What I'd like to do first is to give you an overview of the department, obviously. And Eric, could you proceed the slides, please? And, you know, the first thing I think I should do is to give you a welcome. You are obviously among a very selected group of students with high potential. I would like to thank you for the hard work that you have done so far in your middle school and your high school. And I also would like to thank your parents in guiding you to this path. So I'd like to first tell you that UCLA consists of a world-class group of faculty. And these faculty members work on important engineering problems in areas of high societal relevance with not just local and regional, but global impact. The research that we do here at UCLA Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering has global impact. Our faculty not only, you know, devote a significant amount of time to research, but we also teach well-organized and in-depth courses with content that provide engineering fundamentals as well as state-of-the-art in you know, various disciplines of engineering. And this is due to the fact that we are doing cutting edge research and there's some feedback going on between our research and our curricular offerings. What is our goal here in the department? It's our perpetual goal. Our goal is to facilitate you becoming future leaders in civil and environmental engineering. And let me just reiterate on this a little bit. We don't want our graduate students, the few select students that we're admitting every year who are going through our programs, we don't want them to graduate and become anonymous civil engineers. Our objective is to have all of our students become leaders in their respective fields. So that's the big objective here. So you guys have the high potential. We are going to certainly put you, in a spot where we will, articulate our high expectations. And we at UCLA certainly work hard, and I think we know also that you do work hard too. So the formula we have here is that you put all those together, you end up with high performance. And we've been able to achieve this expectation year after year. Next slide, please. So, let me just begin with a quick overview of where you're coming to, and I'll begin with our campus. Our campus is home to more than 40,000 students. It's a great public university, and it's a very diverse, inclusive community here. We have students, faculty, staff from 50 states and almost all of the countries of the world. UCLA, as you would know, has been ranked consistently as the #1 public university in the country for many years in a row. This year is no exception. And this we owe to not only the classes we offer, but UCLA being a research university, we owe it to the high research enterprise we have. Every year, UCLA faculty members pull in about $1 billion of funds to support our research activities. Needless to say that these activities often yield inventions that rock the world. And in recent years, 100 plus, almost 200 companies have spawned off from these activities, research activities within UCLA. Next slide, please. UCLA, maybe you do not know yet this, but was the birthplace of the internet. And it is home to 14 Nobel Prize winners. And also UCLA is home to a Fields Medalist and a Turing Award winner. And Fields Medal is the highest honor one can achieve in pure and applied mathematics, and the Turing Award is the same for the computer scientists. So you are going to be exposed here to the really world-class faculty. And when you go through your civil engineering education, you will have an opportunity to sample the best the world's minds have to offer across the campus. You can take classes ranging from jazz to world history to biology from the top people in the world. So this is an opportunity for you to exploit and not only have a deep and cutting edge education in civil engineering, but also have a broad and very interesting and engaging education in other fields as well. Next slide, please. So going to our engineering school has approximately 5,000 plus students every year. And we have a broad alumni network, which is great for future employments, career opportunities. And I would say that, and you will experience this pretty soon in conversations with our own alumni, that we have a very tight-knit community, and we always keep in touch and inform each other about what's going on in industry and what's going on in academia. Our engineering school has been ranked by various groups, and it's #4 by a world university. The Times Higher Education ranks it #4 in the world. And in the US, the rankings are a little bit different. US News ranked Samuel School of Engineering as the #16 engineering school in the country. Next slide, please. Samuel School of Engineering has been a leader in online education, and we have a very highly ranked online master's program, which is expanding ever expanding in every year. And we've been at it for a long time. And when COVID hit, we were well prepared because we had very deep experience in offering classes online. So in the past year, both our undergraduate and graduate student class offerings have been kind of going on without too much trouble. Next slide, please. So now I can talk about our own department. Our own department has seen significant growth in the past few years. We had 21 ladder faculty, and we were able to add 4 new people in very important research and curricular areas to our roster. And we are going to continue to grow, and we are expecting to have 2 more people in the coming years to join us. Our ladder faculty also enjoy collaborations with our 3 joint faculty from other departments. We also have 7 adjunct faculty who are leaders in industry. They do both work outside and teach some key classes for us. We also have some active emeritus professors and very capable staff members. Our department is typically home to about 300 plus undergraduate students and approximately 200 MS and PhD level students. The student to faculty ratio is about 9, which is a very healthy, good number. It's not too small, not too large. And we have a female student ratio of 30%. Hopefully these statistics will improve over time, and we're doing everything we can to improve our inclusion, diversity, and equity concerns. Next slide, please. The undergraduate acceptance rate is about 10%. So again, congratulations to you in being in that fold. The approximately 40% of the people we offer the admission will come to UCLA, and everyone we admit is a high performer. There's no shortage of great students. I hope you will accept our offer of admission, and we know that your GPA is very high. The weighted GPA is 4.5, the median value, and 4.0 for the unweighted. So we're essentially getting top students from high schools, and we value that. And it's an indicator of the hard work that you've put in so far, which means you're ready to do some more hard work here at UCLA. Next slide, please. We are among the highest producers of PhD students in the country. Every faculty member approximately graduates 1 PhD student per year, slightly over 1 on average. And this is an indicator of the impact of our research. We also publish a lot of journal articles. You may not yet know what this means, but I will say that our department enjoys very healthy statistics in research output. We are one of the highest functioning civil engineering departments in the country, with our faculty members producing more than 10 papers per year. Our research enterprise is supported by healthy grants from state, local, federal agencies, and sometimes even international entities. And we're averaging about $300,000 per year per faculty. And I think in the coming years, we're going to exceed approximately $10 million per year of research expenditures in our departments. Our rankings have been climbing high. Our statistics and research impact is very healthy, but we also have a relatively younger department. So there's a lag between our recognition and rankings and where we are right now. So in the coming years, I think we are going to be in the top 10 for sure. And that is because we have the highest percentage of NSF Career Award winners and highest number of research prize winners recognized by American Society of Civil Engineers. These are harbingers of future recognition of our department, which also, by the way, is home to 4 National Academy of Engineering members, which is the highest honor an engineer can attain during their careers. And our other departments from which you would take courses, because we have cross-listed courses, they're also very highly ranked. They have similar or better stature than civil engineering. So you will enjoy taking classes from them based on your interests and activities. We are also blessed by very active and successful student groups. Here's a list, and when you join in, you will be engaging one or more of these student chapters. They're all doing great activities. They're well integrated with our department faculty. Our student officers attend our faculty meetings. We do things all together. We are all well coordinated. And I can just go on and on about the activities of our student chapters, but let me just highlight, for example, the American Society of Civil Engineers student chapter here. which was, next slide, please, Eric, which was selected as the most outstanding student chapter in the country. So there are 400, 300, almost 50 student chapters of ASE. Our student chapter was #1. So you can, see this as an indication of how good, how well they're organized and how impactful their activities are. So I think that's the end of my slides. I will yield the floor to Professor Jenny Jay, whose work resides in the subdiscipline of civil engineering, environmental engineering. Jenny is also one of our vice chairs of the department. So Jenny, please.
Thank you. Thanks, E.T. As E.T. mentioned, I am part of the environmental group, and I just want to say all of our faculty have really active programs addressing the critical environmental challenges that are facing society. But for this brief talk, I'm just going to focus on my own research group, and in particular, those projects that involve undergrad research opportunities. So next slide, please. So first of all, we are assessing the lead that children in Los Angeles get exposed to from a variety of sources. And we're doing this in a very quantitative way so that we can compare different sources and know where mitigation efforts should be targeted. So this is Naomi Adams sampling soils, and we have a whole team of undergrads who are assisting with communicating with our participants and collecting from their homes food, house dust, drinking water. They'll also be mapping the lead measurements that we're making for the communities and looking for geospatial trends. Next slide. Thank you. So my group does a lot with water quality. So on the left, you see Ileana Callejas sampling the beaches. Wang Hung, he's sampling over a bridge. So that's how we can test creek water or river water up into the watershed. And so we also use remotely sensed data. So on the right, this project studying water quality off the coast of Belize was actually done during the pandemic from all of our homes. So we have not yet been to Belize, but we had a new project and actually published a paper showing that the decreased marine traffic because of the COVID shutdown actually made the water quality in Belize noticeably clearer with the data that you can obtain from satellites. So that was pretty interesting. We had to kind of re-gear to keep our research going during the pandemic. Next slide, please. All right, so back in Los Angeles, we've been studying how the water quality, so really those contaminants that come out of the rivers, creeks, and storm drains, how they impact recreational swimmers and surfers. So this is our surfer project where we have a lot of undergrads involved, creating and maintaining a presence on 2 different beaches and recruiting surfers and monitoring them, monitoring their nasal cavities throughout the wet season. And we're also measuring what's in the water at the same time and extracting DNA and growing the bacteria from both the water and the nasal cavities. And we actually showed a big increase in MRSA in the surfers' noses after the rain. So you definitely want to pay attention to the swimming advisories when you come to Los Angeles. Okay, next slide. And so what we want to do is figure out where these organisms are coming from, specifically the MRSA that was showing up in our surfers. So we're actually looking not only up the creek, but also in hospitals, for example, and other sources. So this is Marisol Sierra actually sampling raw sewage from one of the towers at the UCLA Medical Center. So we can compare the different areas of the hospital to determine what types of microbes are then entering into the sewage system and becoming an eventual source to the environment. Next slide. And recognizing that everything's connected, we also do a lot of field work inland. So we go to agricultural sites that are the origin of some contaminants and this spreading ground in Bakersfield, and a lot of undergrad involvement in our inland research as well. Okay, thank you for listening. And again, congratulations on your admission.
hello, everyone. My name is Sriram Narasimhan. I'm a professor in the Civil and Environmental Engineering. I must add, one of the new ones that ET mentioned at the beginning of his presentation. So what I'm going to, Eric, if you could just switch to the next slide, please. Yeah, so what you see in front of you are two pictures. On the left, you see the result of the 1989 San Francisco earthquake, also called sometimes the World Series earthquake that hit the Bay Area. And on the right, you see a big water main burst that occurred right off UCLA campus in 2014 on Sunset Boulevard. Now, you might be wondering what's common between these two. Actually, there are a lot of things that are common between the two, but the thing that I want to sort of underscore in both these cases, prior to the occurrence of the event, there was no prior indication that this was going to happen. In other words, there were hidden mechanisms at play in both these cases that were difficult to uncover. So when, for example, the Loma Prieta earthquake, also the San Francisco earthquake and the World Series earthquake happened, there was no indication that the bridge would be in the state it was after the earthquake. So research in my team is trying to sort of uncover such hidden vulnerabilities. And how we are doing it is through deploying sensors and robots to sort of uncover these vulnerabilities and look at infrastructure in ways that is often very difficult to do purely through modeling or purely through visually going and inspecting them. So I'll just give you an example how we are doing it. Eric, if you go to the next slide. Yeah, so if you look at these, you'll see a couple of examples of some of the robots that we are using for this purpose. On the left, you see a robot we developed in my lab. My students have nicknamed it Inspector Gadget for obvious reasons. This robot, or IG, carries several cameras, LiDARs, and a range of other sensors that it can use to scan the environment. So in this case, I'm showing you our Inspector Gadget sort of scanning a bridge, a concrete bridge, and you can see obvious signs of distress there. And on the right, we have another version of a robot. That robot is nicknamed Robin, standing for Robot Engineer. And the advantage of Robin is Robin can go inside indoor environments like industrial facilities, nuclear power plants, and scan indoor environments. So the main advantage of these robots is they're able to visually scan areas just like a human would, but at the same time, be able to create a permanent digital record of what they're scanning, which we can then use to sort of process the data we can process using powerful algorithms such as artificial intelligence. Of course, I'm showing you just examples of robots that we work in, that are made to work in open spaces, such as bridges or industrial facilities, but we are also looking at sensors or developing sensors that can be installed in very confined spaces, such as inside pipes, on fire hydrants and things like that, to be able to understand where vulnerabilities are in these buried environments and so on. But of course, for that, you have to join UCLA and come to my lab so that I can show that to you. So Eric, if you go to the next slide. So now that we have collected the data, what do we do with it, right? So for example, when robots scan an environment, the data looks something like this on the top. Sometimes they're very easy to visually interpret. You kind of know what a bridge is, and often some of these hidden mechanisms, it will take a bit of effort to process this data and sort of get insight into what is happening through this data. Sometimes it is very difficult to get any insight from data itself. So what my group has been working on is developing some advanced mathematical methods and data mining and probabilistic algorithms that we can reason with that data. In other words, we can look at this data and we can try to answer questions that are of relevance to civil engineers. For example, what is going to happen to the structure if there were an earthquake, or is there potential for a burst on a pipe, and so on and so forth. So in other words, we are looking at mathematical techniques, algorithms, models, and so on, which can ingest data that is coming from these robots and other sensors and yield actionable knowledge so that we can be forewarned about any impending failures. Thank you.
Mekonnen, you're fairly well garbled.
Okay.
Audio.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
That's
Better?
much better. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Sorry about that. Welcome to UCLA again. I am a member of the Hydrology and Water Resource Group. In this group, we pretty much cover all aspects of hydrology and water resources. I'm going to walk you through some of my research activities. Next slide, please. Great. So, as you know, as we speak now, California is on the brink of another drought, and you know that we have been through the most severe drought on record. So when you have drought, it affects water resource available, for food, energy, and water. In addition to that, of course, it enhances wildfire. So what we are trying to do in our research group is to understand the impact of drought on water resource available. So we look at essentially how groundwater and surface water have been changing in the past. We also look at how they would change in the future given climate change. We use numerical models and satellite data to understand these things. In addition to that, we also look at the impact of water resources on food, energy, and water resources. Next slide, please. So in this work, what we do is, so snow is the natural water tower for California. We get most of the water from snow. So we try to understand the physical processes governing snowpack, especially because of climate change, because we believe that climate change is going to affect the mechanisms behind the snowpack and how they deliver water. So in this case, we use satellite data, numerical modeling, and observation to understand, how much water are we going to get in the future from snowpack? Does it change the seasonal contribution, etc. Next slide, please. So our research is not just limited to California. We do it internationally. So this is an example of research that we are doing in Africa. So here the issue is they have plenty of water resources, but because of lack of knowledge and decision support tools, they are not using water effectively. For example, about half of the people of Africa do not have access to electricity. They get their electricity from hydropower, and they have a lot of water resources. But it's just that, these schemes are not generating enough electricity. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to develop, to use scientific information and tools to increase hydropower generation. So in this case, our work involves climate forecasts because understanding of what's going to happen in the future is very important. And we take the climate forecast, we correct the issues of these forecasters, and then we improve the quality through data mining and combination with satellite data. And then once we have that, then we have to convert that into flow. So that requires modeling. And once we convert the forecasts into flow forecasts, then we have to do optimization system. As you can see in this case, by just using this decision support system, they can increase their power production by nearly 40%. I mean, this is huge. So without doing any physical infrastructure, by just using scientific information, they should be able to enhance their power generation. Thank you.
So I think I'm Jonathan Stewart, and I'd also like to welcome you. I do think we're skipping my slides in the interest of time because we are on the half hour. So I believe we want to shift over to the next panel now.
Okay, yeah, just to move to the student panel first, and all the faculties who are here, they will be available also in the breakout session to answer any questions. So Yuan, you are next.
Hello.
Eric, next page, please.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Yen, and I am the president of the American Society of Civil Engineers at UCLA. First off, like everyone said, congrats on getting into UCLA. You should all be really proud of yourselves. You definitely worked hard all 4 years to get here. So congrats. And yeah, I'll tell you all about ASCE and why you should come to UCLA. Next slide. All right. So yeah, that's us. 2 years ago, because that was when we were last in person together, taking our last in-person group photo. And yeah, like I said, we're the American Society of Civil Engineers. Next slide. All right, so a little bit about us. We were chartered in 1959, and we have over 300 members, which makes us the largest civil engineering organization on campus. We host over 100 events every year, and that includes professional and social events. We also have 14 technical projects for our students to get hands-on project experience if they want it. Our mission statement this year was adapting to succeed in changing environments by uplifting community leadership and acceptance to reflect the challenges that we had to go through the pandemic. Next slide. Okay, so on our professional development side, we host 2 career fairs every year, and these career fairs are preceded by a networking night. We invite over 40 companies at our career fairs, and overall, this just really helps our students secure jobs and internships and helps them build their network. Next slide. We also do info sessions where we invite various civil engineering companies to UCLA so that they can talk about what they do. We also have field trips where our students go and visits civil engineering project sites. And we also do an industry shadow program where members get the opportunity to shadow an industry professional and learn about what civil engineers actually do on a day-to-day basis. Next slide. And we also host a lot of workshops so that we can help our members develop the skills that they need to excel in their careers. So we host technical workshops where we give like a tutorial on how to use various software like AutoCAD. We do academic workshops for anything class related, and we also do professional workshops so that we can help our members look good to prospective companies so that they can secure the job or internship that they really want. Next slide. Awesome. And now we're also a really, really fun group. We value our professionalism, but we also like to have fun. So this year it was completely virtual. So our socials really consisted a lot of game nights and platonic speed dating to help our members get to know each other. But in person, which is hopefully what you guys will be experiencing next year, we do a lot of food making socials. We do student professor barbecues where we visit one of our professors' house. With their permission, of course, and we get to mingle with our professors and just get to know them outside of the classroom, which is very nice. We also do ice blocking, which is a UCLA tradition where we just sit on a block of ice right by Jan's steps and roll down a hill. It's all very fun, as you can see in the picture on the bottom right. We also do an annual ski trip where we just all go rent a cabin and for a few days and get away from UCLA, which again, very fun. Next slide. Okay, just because we're engineers does not mean we don't like sports. We also have like an athletic side to ASCE. In the virtual setting, we did an exercise competition where our members competed against each other to see who was like the most athletic. And we also did a lot of Zoom yoga sessions, as you can see in the bottom left corner. But in the in-person setting, we will be, you guys can expect to have intramural sports hosted by UCLA, and that can include things like dodgeball, flag football, volleyball, etc. But we also do sports at our annual Pacific Southwest Conference, which I will talk a little bit about later on. It is an engineering conference, but yes, they do have sports there, which again, very fun. Next slide. All right, and we are a very giving group. So we like to do a lot of community service. In the virtual setting, we did free rice, cards for kids, and help the hungry, just anything we could do online. But typically in an in-person year, we have done things like visit a local animal care farm. The bottom right picture shows 4 of our members with Peanut the pig. So yeah, very, very fun time. And we have also done Girl Scouts Day, where we help Girl Scouts get their badges. Next slide. All right, and this is personally my favorite part of ASCE. It is our mentorship program. This is where we pair underclassmen with upperclassmen, and each pairings get placed in one of 4 families. And our families compete all year long to see who's the most active. It's a really fun way to get to know people in ASCE because, you know, as you could see, we are a very large chapter, but mentorship helps you get to know everyone. And we also have a lot of fun interfamily and family events and outings. In the pictures below, you can see us at mini golf, at Salt and Straw, and just hanging out at someone's apartment. But yeah, next slide. All right, getting into our project side. Like I said earlier, we have 14 technical projects, all listed there. So no matter what you're interested in civil engineering, whether it's environmental, water, structures, or geotech, we probably have a project that's related to your interests. So next slide. If you're not too competitive, you might like our community service projects, of which we have 2. So our Navajo water project is in collaboration with Engineers Without Borders, and what they do is design an off-grid solar-powered water treatment system for families on the Navajo reservation. We couldn't visit the Navajo reservation this year, but hopefully next year we'll be able to. And we also have Seismic Outreach, which partners with local middle schools, and we do a Connect structure design project with middle school kids, and we get to judge their structures. It's all very fun. Next slide. All right, so with our competitive projects, first we have construction management, in which our teams have to deal with a mock construction project. This year, we 2 of the 3 of our teams placed. So our mixed use team won 2nd place, and our sustainability team won 1st place. We also have Seismic Design, where they build a 5 feet tall structure out of balsa wood. Honor will be talking a little bit more about that later on, but our current 2021 competition is still ongoing. And then we have Steel Bridge, where they build a bridge with steel. As you can see in the photo below, it's a very strong bridge that we end up building. Our 2021 competition results are still pending for that one. Next slide. Okay, and then now we have our Pacific Southwest Conference. I mentioned this a little bit early on with athletics, but essentially at PSWC, this is where most of our projects compete. This year, we were actually the host of the conference, so we hosted a virtual conference, and we ended up placing 1st. We did place in all of our events this year, so that was all very, very cool. The photo above is not from this year, but yeah, that's how we felt when we won 1st place. Next slide. All right, and so to end my presentation on a high note, something about ASCE is that we are a very accomplished chapter. We have won several awards in the past few years. This includes being the 2019-2020 Engineering Society at UCLA's overall student group of the year, this year's LAYMF's Outstanding Student Chapter, And we also won the ASCE Certificate of Commendation, which is given only to the top 5% of all ASCE student chapters in the nation. So yeah, we're very proud of what we do here, and we hope that you join us. And next slide. So yeah, so to end my presentation, I just want to say again, congrats on getting into UCLA and welcome to the Bruin family. I hope you pick UCLA, and if you have any questions about ASCE or UCLA or the Civil Engineering Department, or you just want to talk and make a friend, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm Yen again, and that's my email listed there, y.len07@gmail.com. And I think I will pass the floor to Honor.
Yes, hello. My name's Honor, and I'm a senior in the Civil Engineering Department, and I'm currently the conference coordinator for the ERI student chapter, which is the Earthquake Engineering Research Institute, and I'm also the project manager for the Seismic Design Project, which is what I'm going to talk about now. So next slide, please. All right, so what is the Seismic Design team? So we're one of the competitive projects that Yen was talking about. And what we do is we build a 5-foot tall skyscraper model out of thin pieces of balsa wood. So that picture there on the right is one of the models that we've made. It looks super cool from this angle, and it looks cool from all angles because it is cool. So I'm going to be telling you about kind of how we do that. So next slide. So the whole purpose is that we compete at the Earthquake Engineering Research Institute Seismic Design Competition, which happens in the spring/summer of every year. And we got lucky last year in that it was the first week of March, and like the competition was, and then everything shut down the second week of March. So we still actually got to go, which was really great. So this picture is from the 2020 competition, which was in San Diego. Yeah, so next slide. Yeah, so these are like a couple of the previous year's pictures, just kind of showing like different posters that we made. You know, you can kind of see me get less awkward as the pictures progress. It's good. All right, next slide. So an overview of what we do is first a design prompt is released in October, and then we have a design proposal due in November. So we actually write up a little report thing detailing what our design is going to be like, and usually they'll throw in some little curveball, so it won't just be like, here's a rectangular structure. It'll be like, nope, it's actually a T-shape base this time, and then you have to be like, what building's a T-shape? How do we do that? And then you figure it out. And then we're going to construct a prototype design, and then we test that prototype design in the lab on a shake table, and then we redesign it and build another model to actually take to the competition. And then we analyze it in a software called SOP 2000 to predict the performance. And that's a software that gets used in industry a lot. So you get pretty valuable skills when it comes to design and analysis. And then we go to competition and we find out how our structure stacked up to the other schools. All right, next slide. So a couple of cool things that we do. First off is laser cutting. So this is how we make our floor plans. So we actually have like a sheet of balsa wood, and then we go down to the first floor bolter hall and we get it laser cut for free, which is cool. So if you want to learn how to cut with a laser, come to us. Next slide. And then we also do 3D printing as part of our construction process. So we design these little like cutting and gluing templates, and then we 3D print them also on the first floor of Bolter and also for free. And then we, as at least last year, what we did was we made all the braces and then we kind of pre-made the walls. So we made like the whole wall at once. And then next slide. And then if you could play the video, yes. So this is kind of an overview of our construction process. So basically we start with putting one wall in the base plate, and then we do 2 more walls into the base plate. And then we start putting in floors from the laser cutting that I showed you. And then we put in the last wall and some more columns and some more braces. And then voila, our structure is done. So I think it's pretty fun to build, and you get to learn how to make a cool video like this, which we did ourselves. So that's awesome. And then next slide. And then this is, I'll just let it do its thing.
It's not the worst of it yet. We've exceeded 2 Gs at the top, so the sensors have peaked out. Oh, you're through it. That was the worst of it.
Yeah, so that was us testing our prototype in the lab, and that was like in real time, not sped up or anything. And that was Professor Alberg's voice that you heard there. And yeah, so that's always a super fun time as well. And yeah, that's all I have for the Seismic Design project, but I'm also going to tell you about the EERI student chapter if you go to the next slide. So yeah, we're actually called EERI CIOSC. Next slide, please. So EERI, like I said before, is the Earthquake Engineering Research Institute, and then CIOSC is the Structural Engineers Association of Southern California. So kind of a lot of words, but basically we're into earthquakes and structural engineering. Next slide. So the goal is to reduce earthquake risk and advance the field of earthquake and structures. So next slide. So yeah, the strategy to do that is to build the next generation of leadership in the field of earthquake engineering. So that's kind of the goal of our club and all our activities, is to get all of our students ready for their careers in earthquake engineering and to be able to make all of infrastructure safer in terms of earthquakes. Next slide. And then if you could just click a few times, then a bunch of activities will pop up. So these are just a few of the things that we do. We have a lot of research events. So if you're interested in getting involved in any of the research that you heard, we have a lot of PhD students come and talk to us, and then we can help you get research positions with them. We have lots of technical webinars that we've been to this year. We have office visits with different companies, which helps you get a job in structural engineering or geotechnical engineering if you want, and just a lot of professional and research opportunities for you if you're interested in this particular field. Next slide. So yeah, on behalf of the Seismic Design team and the EERI CIOSC community, we want to welcome you to UCLA. We also hope you choose to come here because I think it's a great place. And I just want to also say, I kind of went into a bit of depth here into the structures side of things and what you could do there. But if you are interested in other aspects of civil, don't worry. We have the same type of stuff for all the different types of civil engineering. And if you don't know what you want to do, getting involved in these more specialized activities can help you decide. So this is just trying to show you a little bit of the cool stuff we have going on within the department. So yeah, that is all for me.
All right, cool. So now we're going to get into the student panel portion where you guys can ask us any questions. We're going to introduce ourselves a little first. So hello, everyone. My name is Yen, and I'm a fourth year. I'm concentrating in environmental and water resources. Alexis?
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexis. I am a third year, and I am currently in between the structures and geotech concentrations.
I'm Allison. I'm a fourth year, and I'm focusing on environmental and water resources as well.
Hi, I'm Cade. I'm a fourth year, and yeah, I've concentrated in structural and geotechnical. Yeah.
Honor?
Oh, well, I kind of already introduced myself, but I'm Honor and I'm a fourth year, and big shocker, I'm concentrating in structures. And I also went through the geotech track as well.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm a second year and I'm planning on pursuing the structural or environmental track.
Hey, I'm Peter. I'm a fourth year and I also did both the geotech and the structural concentration.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm a third year and I'm doing the water and transfer route.
Awesome. So these are our panelists. They're all very knowledgeable. So feel free to hit us with any questions you got. Feel free to type in the chat or do the raise hand function and unmute when we call on you. But yeah, we are open to questions now.
So the students.
Oh, I see a raised hand from
okay.
D'Amico.
Yeah, that's my last name. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm thinking of doing like an environmental concentration, and I was wondering what the students who are doing environmental, like what kinds of things they like. I know the student who was talking about the structural concentration. I just wondered what like environmental did, kind of similar to that.
Awesome. Allison, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so one of the projects that Yen talked about under the large umbrella of ASE is environmental design. There's also Navajo water project, and there's other non-ASE water projects that are like Bruin Home Solutions or Renewable Energy Association. Sorry, those might be like meaningless words to you guys right now, but there are opportunities for students to get involved in clubs on campus to just gain exposure to different ways in which we work with water, either like by doing like water treatment stuff. So the environmental design project, we normally like are given like a list of random contaminants put into water, and we have to design and build like a mini wastewater treatment system to purify the water. But since we went virtual this year, we did the stormwater prompt instead, which is, also related to water, which is more of a stormwater design prompt. So there's many different opportunities to gain exposure to different water concepts, but the world of water is always a lot bigger than I think it is. There's also fantastic like research faculty that we talked about, that it's really easy and accessible to get involved in research too through that way. Yeah. So I don't know if there's more I could answer on that.
Can other engineering majors also get involved with these environmental projects, or is it only students in the College of Civil and Environmental Engineering? Kay, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah. So our definitely speaking for the ASCE student chapter that we have, we are open to all majors and people from across campus. If they want to join any of our projects or our club, they're certainly welcome to. I think at one point I was a part of the Steel Bridge project, and we had people, we had someone who was a physics major, we had some mechanical engineering majors. So yeah, we're completely open. I think other clubs and also other opportunities are definitely open if people want to pursue them. And that goes, yeah, that's pretty widespread.
Awesome. And then Ashley has her hand raised. So Ashley, feel free to unmute.
Do engineering students have double major or minor opportunities at UCLA?
Yes. Does anyone here have experience in that?
I can take this one. So I wanted to pick up an Asian American Studies minor. I was a little bit ahead in my schedule because I took like one summer class, but it's really easy to, and also I think within civil, your classes are a bit more flexible sometimes because there are like 4 different concentrations. But I would say that it's a little bit easier than you think. I know that engineers are typically heard that your schedule is really just busy all the time. And I will say that that's true to an extent, but if you're willing to take a summer class, or if you want to pick up another class and take like 4 instead of 3 per quarter, it's definitely possible. I know people who are like public affairs minors or like global studies minors or like a Spanish minor also. But it's definitely doable if you want to. You just have to talk to your counselor. And yeah.
Yeah, I also know a couple of civil engineering students who are trying to double major in architecture right now, and they seem to have like a whole plan figured out to do that successfully, which sounds like a lot to me, but it's apparently possible. So reach for your goals.
Awesome. And then our next question is, what percentage of students are able to get internships by the end of their first or second year? Alexis, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So I know for engineering internships, typically certain concentrations usually need you to be a little further in your studies. So like a lot of structural internships I know mainly focus on third and fourth years because you need to know that information in order to like get those internships. But fear not, a lot of other civil companies such as like construction management are really taking first and second years because you don't need as much technical information. And if that's not exactly what you want to do later on, it's still really good to get your foot in the door into just like the world of civil engineering and seeing kind of like processes are going on and just get used to different things like that. And I think that if you're really interested in getting an internship really early on, one of the most important things would be to kind of join SCE and get like experience and tips from people who have had those internships and have been able to know what like the interview process looks like and like how to make a good resume. And I think that another good resource is definitely the ASCE Career Fair. I think at that career fair we have like usually around like 40 companies that come that are just focused on civil engineering majors. And another thing is that it's open to members of ASCE. So that means that you don't have like necessarily wait in really long lines like I know you do for the like general engineering career fair. But in general, I would say that I don't think internships for first and second years are necessarily common, but they're definitely achievable. And if you're really interested in getting an internship, there's a lot of good resources in ASCE.
Yes, I second joining ASCE is definitely a good move. Next question, how did you figure out which concentration you wanted to study? Sophia, would you like to take that one?
Sure, I can take that one. That is definitely like a loaded question because everything in civil does sound so interesting. I think one way that is really helpful is to join a project within ASCE, since we basically cover all the different disciplines of civil engineering with our projects, and going out to project work days and seeing what the projects do and kind of getting an idea of how each discipline does their problem solving and stuff is a really good way to sort of narrow down your field of things you might be interested in pursuing. Does anybody else have anything to add to that? It's a certainly a very loaded question.
No, I think that's how most people do it, is just like get involved, go to like some talks from the different like disciplines and see what interests you. They also have the Civil 1 class, which you'll take fall quarter of your freshman year, and they have like industry professionals from all the different disciplines come talk to the class, so you can kind of just see which one jumps out at you right away and then kind of go explore that more through the projects and see if it is something that you like. I think that's also good because you don't actually get to start taking your major classes until like your like sophomore, junior year, so it's kind of good to like know before your like third year whether or not you like it. So definitely recommend.
Awesome. And then is it difficult to study abroad as a civil engineering major? And what would your class schedule be like if you study abroad? I don't know if anyone here has had study abroad experience. But...
Well, some of my friends who were able to do it, they either missed like spring quarter their freshman year and studied abroad to do GEs, or one had planned to go over the summer to do GEs or a minor. So you just have to plan your GEs accordingly, or like think in advance, because also with the engineering track, you also kind of want to consider internships. So it's about like kind of balancing those.
Yeah, also just to add on to that, if you come in like knowing that you want to study abroad and you talk to your counselor right away, like you can definitely make it happen. I will say the one thing that might be a little bit tricky is that for some engineering classes, it's only offered in like a specific quarter. So I think personally, I was going to study abroad this past summer, but you know, COVID happened. But I wanted to do my tech breath in materials engineering. So that's also another route if you want to take that. But it kind of depends on what you're interested in taking, like abroad. I know people have taken, yeah, GEs are really common. Also the physics series, but I think definitely talk to your counselor. But if you want to do it, you can definitely make it happen.
Also, just to quickly to add on that, I knew other engineering majors who took advantage of, there was a like a program where you could knock out your physics classes over a summer. So they put off taking their physics classes so that they could do that over study abroad over the summer. I think it was in like Scotland or something. So I heard good things about that. So, but definitely be aware and know that it's good to plan ahead right away if you want to study.
Awesome. And we are at the 11 o'clock mark. Professor Zhang, would you like us to finish answering these last two questions first, or do we want to move on to alumni?
I think it's okay to answer the last two questions, and also any additional one we can always answer that in the breakout sessions.
Awesome, perfect. Okay, so our second to last question is, do most civils complete their degree in 4 years? Peter, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think almost everyone that I know of has completed their degree in 4 years. And then I take 5 years to graduate. And it was not really because like the curriculum is so hard. It was more because they were either doing like a double track, so like they wanted to complete both tracks, or one person that I know of wanted to do more research, which is very unique for him, but like he wanted to spend an extra year just getting more exposure. And then he ended up taking most of the grad classes, and he's into a PhD program now. So like that's an oddity, but like it's really what you make out of it. And I think definitely graduating within 4 years is possible. And I know some people who have even like graduated within less than 4 years. So yeah, it's really up to you.
Awesome. And then our last question is, what are the stats on the job placement rate? Does anyone want to answer that? Free for all for the last one. I actually am not quite sure myself because I do not keep up with the stats, but do any of our professors know?
I think from what I understand, our graduates about 1/3 like maybe goes to graduate school after graduation. And then the other 2/3 find the jobs in industry and in government agencies and different places. And yeah, so I don't exactly know the stats of the job placement rate, but I think for most of the students in ASE group, because they hold the career fair, and that's how the students actually find the internship and also finding their job, a permanent job. And so exact rate, I don't have the statistic for it, but this is what I know. Yeah.
I just want to add on to that is that many of my students, or at least in environmental groups, they get lots of placement just being in LA because there are so many activities going on in a mega city like LA. So just getting into internship does really help a lot for the placement after the graduations.
Okay. Yes, so let's move on to the alumni panel. And Robert, you are next.
Very good. Good morning, everyone. And well, really happy to be here. We've only got 30 minutes. So first, as we do our introductions, we're going to try to be as most efficient as we can with this time. If you have any questions that you want to ask of the alumni panel, probably the easiest way to do that would be to type them into the chat box and then send them. And you can do that just starting now, actually, even as we introduce ourselves. But let me get us started with an introduction. Robert Campbell. I was a class of 2007 at UCLA. After that, I went to Berkeley for my master's and my PhD. And then I went into, I focused on transportation. And after that, I became a transportation consultant. And after that, I now work for LA County Metro in the congestion reduction department. So I'm now at a public agency. Next, I'd like to introduce Armin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Armin Azizian, UCLA class of 2014. Upon graduating, I went down to UC San Diego for grad school in structural engineering, where I kind of pivoted away from the civil structures to aerospace. And now I work for Safran in our aerostructures group. So working with composites and other structural applications in the aerospace world. So after that, I believe, I forget who's next. Sorry.
It will be Pablo.
Pablo, that's right. Yeah. So I'm going to hand it over to Pablo.
Thank you, Armin. Hi, my name is Pablo Cristovergas. I graduated in 2012 with my bachelor's from UCLA and with an emphasis in geotechnical and structural engineering. And I received my master's in 2013, the following year, with a convenient and very expeditious 9-month program that I highly recommend in geotechnical engineering. And soon afterwards, I've been working in the private sector ever since. Started off at a larger 40,000 person company, and now I'm a principal geotechnical engineer and part owner of my own firm, SPC Engineering.
Great. Claire?
Hi, my name is Claire. I graduated from UCLA last year, and I am currently a graduate student in structural engineering at Stanford. And I'll hand it off to Paul.
Hey everyone, my name is Paul Lee, class of 2015. I studied a little bit of everything. I love UCLA so much. I stayed for 5th year, did like 2 minors. Afterwards, I went to Berkeley. My master's focused on energy and climate change, and which led me to where I am right now. I do clean energy policy and planning for the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Thank you. Hand it off to Ben.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Baker. I graduated from UCLA in 2010. Then I went to UC Berkeley. While I was at UCLA, I really enjoyed the tech breadth classes. There's some technology management courses. I also studied structures and waters. At Berkeley, I studied engineering and project management. Past 7 years, I've been on a Metro Rail project. It's called the Crunch Valley X Corridor, and there's plenty of opportunities in Los Angeles.
Great. We'll go to Suraj.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Suraj Patel. I graduated from UCLA in civil engineering in 2017, then went to Berkeley, did structural engineering, graduated in 2018, and then now work in downtown LA at a structural firm called Home Structures. Dario, would you like to introduce yourselves next?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Dario Gu. I graduated in the class of 2019. I focused my coursework around transportation and water resources. And upon graduating, I worked at H&TB, focusing with their aviation infrastructure practice and a little bit of their highways and roadways group.
Thank you, Dario. And I believe we had Bill Gooden, but I think he might have had to step away. Bill, are you there? Right, he did message me and said that he had to step away for a second. Hope he's able to come back soon. Now I do see that we have a question. It was specifically targeted for you, Paul. So you'll start us off here. Someone is wondering what you did at UCLA to get where you are now.
I think that's a longer conversation. I definitely wanted to pursue like a sustainability track. And so I just took a ton of classes related to sustainability and urban planning and earth sciences. And while at the same time getting really involved with like student organizations. So it wasn't like a very linear path. It's a very atypical path for me being an undergrad at UCLA studying civil engineering to doing renewable energy projects as a full-time career. But if you want to connect offline, I'd love to share kind of like the longer version of this because I don't want to take up too much of this panel's time. But yeah, would love to talk further about it if you're interested.
Very good. As I mentioned, please feel free to continue contributing questions. Seeing as that there aren't any more at the moment, I'm going to present a question to the panel. How did UCLA help prepare you for your career? or for graduate school, or for whatever you ended up doing after graduating, or even just life in general. How did UCLA help you prepare for that? And as the panel mulls on that a little bit, let me start us off by saying that probably the most valuable thing that UCLA did for me, and what I would propose is the most valuable thing of any university college experience, is that it teaches you how to think about the things that you're doing. It teaches you how to think about you know, everything in your job that you're being presented with, because it's one thing to be able to follow you know, a workflow that already exists. It's one thing to be able to plug in numbers into a spreadsheet, or to use a piece of software and to click buttons. And any school can teach you to do that. Any school can teach you to follow a series of steps. But what UCLA does is it teaches you to think about why you're doing these steps and what it is accomplishing, so that in the real world, often the problems don't fit into these nice preconceived molds that we have, these worksheets and these tools that allow us to address. And we need to be able to think critically about, how do we solve a problem that's never been solved before? And what I really valued about UCLA is that we got to learn from the faculty there and from our classes and from our activities, not just how to do things, but why we do them that way, so that we could find new solutions to new problems in the real world when they would come up. I see that Claire would like to add something too.
Yeah, I was just gonna add on like a general note about UCLA is that one of the benefits of going to a really big like public university like UCLA is it really pushes you outside your comfort zone, I think, which is a really good thing for me. Like I grew up in a very small town in Northern California. So like coming here, it was just like, there's so many opportunities, but you do have to like go get them for yourself. But like being able to do that and like finding those opportunities for you, and there's a lot of support too, but like having 4 years to do that, I feel like really prepared me well for like going out and getting internships, going out and like finding all these opportunities of like learning more about the careers that are available to me. And just like, it's not just about engineering, it's like life in general, just having that like 4 years to really like figure out what you want to do and like learning to go do it is, I think, very valuable.
Thank you, Claire. Looking at our panel, it looks like no one else with a hand raised. So we'll go to our next question. Did it take a master's degree to prepare you for your career, or were you able to get into your career with just your undergraduate degree? Again, I'll get us started so that the panel has a little bit of time to think. Civil engineering being so broad, sometimes you don't get to learn a lot about a specific topic as an undergrad. And so that's one of the advantages to grad school. But certainly the majority of my peers when I was at school, they were able to go right into industry. But I wanted to learn more specifically about transportation. And so I decided I was going to dedicate another year to that in grad school. And many people do that just because, again, civil engineering is so broad. Sometimes you don't get to learn a lot about a specific topic, and grad school is an opportunity to do that. But certainly you don't have to go to grad school to get a great career. Suraj?
Hey, thanks, Robert. Clarissa, that's a great question. It's also like Robert just mentioned, it really depends on the field you're doing. Instructional engineering has kind of become now where it's almost required, but definitely recommended to have a master's to go into structural engineering. Whether that merits saying that UCLA doesn't, UCLA will prepare you enough to get into the industry and work. It's just now becoming the point where it's like industry standard to have a master's. While that doesn't necessarily mean you need to have it to do exceptionally well in the industry, but yeah.
I'd like
Dario?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I noticed I'm the only one on the panel that didn't do a master's, so I wanted to chime in real quick on this question. And so I did go on and do a slightly different kind of interest in aviation infrastructure. So it's still civil engineering related, but it certainly wasn't something that I was able to learn a whole lot of as an undergraduate at UCLA. And so oftentimes you'll find that a lot of things you do learn on the job will be on the job, and you'll have your colleagues there to mentor you. But this goes back to the point that Robert Campbell made earlier. UCLA really teaches you to think critically and know that an answer's out there. You just have to do your research, and these are the skills that UCLA has taught me when I'm working day to day, and I don't exactly know know where to start. I just know that an answer's out there, and I kind of piece the puzzles together.
I hear Armin, or I'm sorry, it was Was there someone else on the panel? I thought I heard a voice, that's all.
Oh, yeah, that was me, Pavlo.
Pablo,
Thanks,
I'm sorry,
Robert.
Armin. Go
My
ahead,
raising
Pablo.
hand option isn't working right now, but yeah, I was gonna also echo what Suraj was saying. Also in the geotechnical field, now that the way that I think that the industry has changed a bit is that the basically a master's degree is very encouraged, is highly encouraged, and you know there's a great program at UCLA that they have, but you know the master's degree is something that it's now I think it's seen as, especially it's seen as important for a lot of the companies, especially the higher end ones. If you want to work for a larger company or one that does higher end work, a master's degree is pretty it's pretty helpful. But then again, you can also get by with your bachelor as well.
Thank you, Pablo. Question: is there anything at UCLA that you, the panel members, wish you had taken more advantage of before you graduated?
Yeah.
I will get us started with that one. I'd have to say that, you know, interacting more with the faculty was probably something I didn't fully appreciate until maybe my last year. And there's so much they have to offer, and there's so much enthusiasm and so much passion on their part. I mean, if you want to learn more about, in my case, I wanted to learn more about transportation, and I was thrilled that I got to connect with some of the faculty that know that topic. But you know, I'd say that my only regret, and it's not really a regret, but if I could change it, I would have certainly reached out to them sooner, because it was, you know, just more time and more knowledge absorption. It would have been that much better. Let me see. I can't tell, Dario, if you're raising your hand from previously or if it's for this question as well.
That was for a previous question, but I could answer that. I think a part of me wishes that I took an extra fifth year. And that's not necessarily for the core. Well, a part of it is for the coursework because UCL offers so many classes, and I kind of wish I did explore some courses outside of engineering as a whole. But I think the experience at UCLA is just so unique, and a part of it is kind of like a once in a lifetime experience to be in a college setting and have so many of your peers and like-minded individuals working around you and those that have the same interests as you. And so I wish I was able to kind of spread out my time there a little better to a fifth year.
Yeah. I guess I can speak briefly on this, I guess. So I think I'm going to take a slightly different approach of, I think UCLA is such a unique university where you have so many other resources outside of engineering that you can take advantage of. And, you know, I took a couple courses in German in the foreign language department. So it's, I wish I kind of opted to minor in something outside of engineering, because even though the coursework can be intensive in engineering, I think, as the others have said, it's okay to, if you want to stretch it out a little bit, just to kind of see what other interests you have. And UCLA has that unique opportunity to offer you that, just to expand on your horizons beyond just engineering. So I think try and take advantage of that as best as you can, I think.
Suraj, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. It's a great question. I think when I look back at UCLA, I think I got really involved with the clubs. The one area that I look back that I kind of wish I spent more time. And obviously I have no stake in this now. I don't have the professors on my teachers anymore, but I'm not going to get extra credit out of this. But I think the professors, developing relationships with them, like taking advantage of office hours, something I wish I had done more. Maybe getting more involved with research. When you get to UCLA, you'll realize the professors are very, very cool. Honestly, they can be your friends. And I encourage you guys not to make the mistake I did or wait till my senior year when I did it, was become their friend, get to know them, go to their office hours often, don't be intimidated by them. They'll play sports with you, they'll talk to you, they'll teach you. They're really, really great individuals.
Thanks, Suraj. Next question: how common is it to find a job right out of being an undergrad that will pay for your master's? I'll say my experience was that when I went to Berkeley to get the master's, there were opportunities to do research while you were a student. And I don't know how common that is, but I can say that many of the people in the program, master's program there, they were able to do research while they were studying. So that was one option where you kind of pay your way as you go. I'll pause and see, let's see, I see Benjamin.
I was going to echo what Robert was saying. If you want to go directly to grad school, there are opportunities to teach as a graduate student instructor. You can also do graduate student research. And so I was able to graduate debt-free, undergrad and grad school. So there's opportunities like that out there too.
Paul? Thank you, Ben. Paul?
Yeah, so if your question's on how to find jobs that'll help you pay, so I believe many companies do offer some level of continuing education reimbursement to support further education. I know for my department, LADWP, they're fully paying for an advanced degree that I'm also pursuing. So I'm pursuing a management degree. That department is fully funding it. It's really up to you to look into these companies. Some will fully pay for it, some will be partial. And then maybe in the private sector, something that you can negotiate. So yeah, there are opportunities to pursue that master's degree while you're working as well.
Thank you, Paul. Our next question here. What do you do in your current careers? This one, maybe I'll let all of us give a little brief answer about that one. So I work in congestion reduction at Metro. I do a lot of operations work. So if there are problems, I work specifically in the express lanes group, and if there are problems with the system, it's my job and the job of 3 other people to figure out how to get the system up and running again. And so we answer questions from the public, questions from the board. We deal with new policies, new programs, maintaining existing programs. But that's my role at LA Metro. Armin, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I'm working as a project engineer for Safran, part of their cabins division, and our business unit, we focus on water and waste systems. So if you think commercial aviation, when you go to the bathroom, all of that stuff has to flow through a particular system, and they end up going into a waste tank. And we supply water tanks and waste tanks to most civil aviation airplanes. And so as a project engineer, I need to work on coordinating between the technical side, coordinating with procurement, coordinating with program management, and just kind of facilitating a bunch of moving parts to make sure that our products are clean, safe, shipped on time. And so it's a lot of working with people management, and I still get to be able to flex some technical muscles that you might not otherwise think of. So it's a nice little combination.
Thanks, Armin. Pablo?
Yeah, so as I may have mentioned previously, I'm a geotechnical engineer primarily over at SPC Engineering. So we perform, you'll see that most engineers perform design work. So that's designing whether it's new structures or new types of infrastructure. In geotechnical, we work with soils and the foundations to make sure that they are properly designed, let's say, for your different soil type, because soil varies throughout from one building to the next, the soil can change. So you want to make sure that your foundation and your all your structures are properly designed to account for the soil. So we do design work, but also we perform forensic investigations. So that could be whether it's working for big insurance claims where there's big failures or large landslides or lawsuits. We work with attorneys and insurance claim adjusters as well to determine the cause and origin of different failures, whether they're primarily geotechnical. So we do a little mix of different things, but you'll notice that in civil engineering, it's such a broad field that you can basically, you have many possibilities.
Thanks, Pablo. Claire?
So I'm still a student, so I live in MATLAB mostly, but I've done a couple internships in like structural engineering, and I'm sure Suraj can probably talk about this more, but we kind of just design buildings, do a lot of calculations. But it's this past summer I did get like an opportunity to work on some like existing buildings and do like some analysis models and stuff, which was really cool. Lots of opportunities, but yeah, currently just a lot of calculations.
Thanks, Claire. Paul?
Yeah, so I do renewable energy development. And so what that means is that I've pivoted a little bit away from doing like calculations on like circuits or concretes into more system-wide city-level planning and city-level implementation of renewable energy systems. So a different level of abstraction, but seeing what the city's goals are to reach 100% clean energy, and then just seeing what those long-term steps should be in planning and implementing those projects. So that's my job in a nutshell.
Thanks, Paul. Benjamin?
All right, so I'm working for Walsh Shea Quarter Constructors. We're building an 8.5 mile rail line, and it should be opening next year. We're thinking, I would say Metro is investing $120 billion over the next 40 years. It's part of Measure M. So my career so far has been in civil infrastructure, you know, and on Suraj.
Suraj?
Yeah, so we work with architects a lot. Essentially, the architects come with us with their plans or their vision of how they're building, or even something like a mural or like a playground structure. They come to us with those plans, and then we essentially got to make it happen. And considering we're an earthquake country, we have to take in consideration the seismic demands, and whether if you're on the East Coast, you got to look more into the wind loads, but you kind of take a lot of multiple things into consideration to ensure that the architect's vision for the building, structure, whatever is possible. And not to, I really like structural engineering, so hopefully in the breakout session, we can ask some more questions about that.
Thanks, Suraj. And Dario?
Yeah, so I work for H&TV. We are on the private engineering consulting side of the industry, and I focus primarily in aviation infrastructure. So this is anything within and outside of an airport. So it could be runways, taxiways, pavement markings, hangars, anything you can think of. Airports are like little cities, and we do work in these many cities.
Thanks, Dario. Since we're down to our last 4 minutes, I'd like to give the entire panel a chance to give any closing remarks that they'd like. So we'll go in order again. I see that there is one question for Pablo from Francisca. Pablo, perhaps you'd be able to use the chat box to respond to her at some point. We'll wrap up with some closing remarks. So I'll get us started so that, again, the rest of the panel has a little bit of time to prepare. You know, I just want to point out that the question that all of you are probably asking yourselves is why UCLA? And I'd just like to point out, I mean, UCLA, last I read, UCLA gets more undergraduate applications than any other school in the country. And if you've been to UCLA, that makes perfect sense. I mean, UCLA is not only super strong in academics, which is, that's why we go to university, go to college, but it's strong in every way that is really important at a school. It's got a great campus life, a great local environment, a lot of opportunities for self-development and personal growth and self-realization. It's a diverse campus. It's the only place you can go skiing and to the beach in the same day. I mean, it's got everything that really makes the university experience the best years of your life. So anyway, I will pass it on to Armin for closing thoughts.
Ooh, how do I follow that one up? Yeah, I think Robert said it really well. I mean, the campus is great. The faculty are great. The curriculum is amazing. The challenge is worthwhile. I mean, I can't stress this enough. It's, it's not going to be, I mean, for some of you, I'm sure it'll be an easy ride, but you're going to be challenged. All of that is going to make you grow as individuals. And I can't think of a better place to, even if civil engineering isn't your ultimate career path, it'll still give you the foundation to be able to pivot into something other than civil engineering. And campus life is also, you can have a nice balance. I was a transfer student and I commuted, so I wish I was on campus a little more, but even the time that I was on campus, I cherish every minute of it. So go Bruins.
Thanks, Armin. Pablo?
Yes, so I enjoyed my time at UCLA so much. Besides just the academics, all the wonderful student organizations, but just even the sports too. I mean, I'm a huge sports fan, so we got to the Final Four in basketball. So, last time we were in the Final Four, we got it 3 times in a row. So that means if you guys come in next year, you have 2 more years of Final Four, I think. So, besides that, I think you all, you're all top talent, and UCLA is I believe, the premier civil engineering school in Southern California, and all the employers know that as well. So when you go apply for a job, they see UCLA on your resume. That speaks very loudly. One last thing as well is that you know, your classmates that you will when you come to UCLA, all your classmates, you know, get to know them very well, spend some time to know them, because you'll see them in industry. For example, I have a friend that I was studying actually in Civil 101, Statics and Dynamics together. We were studying midterms and finals together, and now we work on other projects. He works on the land development side, I work on the geotech side. So we're actually able to work together on these projects and kind of refer each other. So it's a small community, and you'll be with very great talent around you.
Claire?
I don't want to repeat too much of what other people said because I agree with all of that, but I think just the UCLA has so much diversity in terms of everything. It's such a great place to go to school for 4 years, especially for, like I said, I'm from a pretty small area. So like coming outside of that bubble and just like, it's like diversity in the people that you meet, from like the people on your floor freshman year, you stay up till like 4 a.m. just chatting about life, or it's like the people in your classes where you like, everyone solves the problem differently and you can learn like so much more just through like comparing answers with people. I think that is really important, and it was something that was one of my deciding factors, like why I came here, and I still rings true to this day.
Paul?
Yeah, so that definitely echoing what everyone said so far. I loved my undergraduate experience at UCLA, particularly with civil engineering, and definitely it provides enough flexibility to pursue both the traditional paths of civil as well as other career opportunities, because it's such a flexible and such a robust program.
Benjamin?
Yeah, I'd say UCLA is awesome. Great weather, close to the ocean. It'll prepare you for grad school if you want to go back to UCLA for grad school, MIT, Stanford, UCLA. You know, I was able to take a design of tall buildings course. Really helped me when I was doing the seismic portion of the professional engineer license exam. And yeah, I encourage you all to come to UCLA.
Suraj?
I mean, I only went to Berkeley and then obviously UCLA, and but I have a lot of friends that went to other institutions, really great colleges. But what I've found is that at UCLA, every year I've seen every group being extremely dynamic. All the students you'll meet will be you'll be able to do, they have well-rounded students essentially. You'll hit the school, we'll have a lot of fun outside, and I haven't been able to see that in other schools. And while and even that even extends to the professors. Professor Stewart would have barbecues at his house, and all the students from UCLA would come by, and we'll get to know the students. I don't see that at a lot of other schools, and I think while their rankings may say one thing or another, I think the community that you'll get at UCLA is unparalleled, and I think it's a no-brainer, to be honest, to come to UCLA.
Dario?
Yeah, I'd just like to say congratulations to all the prospective students on such an amazing achievement, and we hope to see you in the fall of 2021.
Thank you, entire alumni panel, and for your questions. Thank you to the audience for the questions. I'll pass it back to Professor Zhang.
Yeah, so before we close out this session, actually, I'd like to mention to you, maybe for the students, you're thinking about why civil and environmental engineering department. And I think you all know that we actually have impending huge infrastructure bill proposed by the President Biden's administration. And so that present huge opportunities for all the different problems that all civil and environmental engineering people can actually handle with. So therefore, keep that in mind when you actually select civil and environmental engineering and select the UCLA. Yeah, so from now, and I think I'm going to open the breakout room. And so I'll just do 2 breakout room, and then it's gonna be assigned automatically. And I might need to move you from one room to the other to try to achieve a better balance between the faculty, alumni, and the student. But feel free to actually ask any questions you might have, either related to our department, related to UCLA, and to students, to everyone that are presented here. And so the room is is just opened right now. And so we can all move into the breakout room. And thank you everyone, and students, faculties, and for making the presentation. Okay, and so I'll see you in the breakout room.